All right, guys. So where are we?
Core Advantage.
Core Advantage with Durham McInnis. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Nailed it. Nearly. Durham.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the car.
We're trying to,
It's tricky, yeah. Like the county in England. Yeah.
So it's English, not Irish. That's why we got it wrong.
Yeah, we were
trying to
McInnis
figure it
is
out.
Scottish. So that's,
there you go. We were so far off.
No, you like in terms of the world,
look,
you're
we're
right
close
there.
enough.
The conversations we were having today about geography were horrendous. It's like, is this over here?
Yeah.
Is this there?
Yeah.
It's
What is
very
Persia
bad.
and where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Long car rides from the west.
Yeah, we went all kinds of places.
Thanks for having us, mate. Obviously
Yeah.
on site, which is cool.
Yeah,
pleasure. Thanks for coming.
If the audio is no good, it's their fault.
It's Tam's fault. It's Tam's fault. It's his job.
But yeah, we just did a little run session.
Yeah,
I say little.
we
Large.
as well. Me too.
Yeah.
Me including.
Yeah.
The big rig. It was really fun. I had a really good time.
That was great.
And I can't believe that if you guys, when the YouTube video comes out, you have to watch it just for the foam rolling.
The faces.
Oh,
As
yes,
it's
for the entertainment value of how
I
painful
felt
it
like
was.
Tam had a camera on me every time we went on the side. Like, beetroot face. It was so painful.
But I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I have 2 foam rollers in my garage, 2.5, like 2 long ones and a short one that sit in my garage that do very little work. I can't believe how good I felt after 5 minutes.
Yeah, such a
Unreal.
quick, easy, compact
Yeah,
thing
sat
to do.
on the floor, legs
just-
crossed for the first time, I reckon, as an adult.
It's so much bang for buck.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long, doesn't cost much, hurts a truckload at the start, but then eventually, within about a week, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be more sore tomorrow than you are you'll be a little bruised from today tomorrow.
Yeah, I kind of felt that before. It's like, ooh, I don't want to say anything, but I'm going to be in pain for tomorrow.
Yeah, but then day 7, generally, like if you're a 9 out of 10 on day 1, day 7 you'll be like a 3.
Yeah.
And then day 10, a hell lot of people are down to a 0 or a 1, and 1's fine. Like you can you can tune that out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so-
Is that like when you get it to? So you'd obviously want to do it every day, and then once you get to a 1, do you have to do it every day to keep it a 1?
It's the only thing in fitness or in strength and conditioning where you can be slack with it and you don't doesn't bite you on the
fall
ass.
away.
Yeah. Like I had a situation where I impulse bought a house earlier in the year and it was a bit of a and I had to sell the other
One
house.
thing to do.
It was a crazy time, and for the first time in forever, I just dropped training because I had this mad sprint to sell the old house before the market changed, and it was just this really stressful time.
Period. Yeah, I know
So
that feels.
Yeah,
I just sold my house.
Did
as
you?
well. I moved.
It's full on, isn't it?
awful.
Yeah. So we bought that house and we moved out 10 days later without having planned it and did the other one.
Must have been a pretty good house to do that.
It was my dream.
Good
it
on
was
you.
just like life just all fell into place.
That's
and
sick.
It was lucky. But anyway, so I didn't roll for like maybe 6 weeks. And when I picked it back up again, it was a little, but it wasn't back up to a 10. Like once you've really broken down and loosened stuff up, it doesn't seem to regress. Whereas fitness, like if you neglect your fitness for 96 hours, it's like...
This feels heavy.
I didn't do that workout the other day.
Yeah. Leg DOMs when it
What
was
a game.
10
Hard to
instead of
get,
7.
easy to lose.
Yeah, you're just renting it, aren't you?
Yeah. That's a good term. It's renting this body right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
So not something typically we do, but I think it's important for our listeners because we don't come from the S&C world. So I met you through Jared Kay during lockdown with a little round table. I was like, I've never heard of this guy before. And then I started to see how long you've been in the game for, who you've worked with, what you do. And I was like, this is like Melbourne's best kept secret. Who is this guy? So obviously been following along since. So maybe just a little bit of an introduction of who you are, what you've done.
No worries. So I'm obviously the founder here at Core Advantage. I've worked in the industry since 1999. Started out as a personal trainer, and I did an apprenticeship under a guy called Bruce Gray, who's a real sort of OG basketball strength and conditioning guy, and also owns a bit of a powerlifting gym, Body World. And so I spent my formative years around a bunch of bodybuilders, powerlifters, and just people that like lifting heavy things.
People like us.
Yeah.
Speaking my language.
So it was a really great place to kind of learn my craft. Because even though I don't look like I'm clearly quite skinny, I got to learn about. There was Ange Galati, who's an amazing bench presser, was at our gym, and just got to see these guys really were amazing at what they did. And then I sort of fell into strength and conditioning in the sense that I'd done this internship with Bruce because I just wanted to follow him around and learn what I could learn. And then I got a gig in 2003 with the Dandenong Rangers in the Women's National Basketball League and loved it. I was like, this is my calling. Like it's this mixture of rehab, prehab, fitness, strength, power, movement, skill training. It was just everything that I'd always wanted to do in one thing. And it was with this awesome bunch of girls. This great group. And then we the club hadn't won a championship in its history, and we went back to back, 44 wins, 6 losses, 0 injuries in my first 2 years.
Wow!
And some was just good luck. Like that's because you track injuries. The biggest KPI for a strength and conditioning coach is total games lost to injury. Right. So one player does a hammy and they miss 6 games. One player does their ankle and they miss 4. You've now had 10 games that season lost to injury.
Yeah.
And so that's your real, because performance is nice and you want to make everyone better, but really it's availability. Is your roster available to deliver on the court or the field? Mm-hmm. And so we had really good luck. Like someone tweaked an adductor the week before a bye. Yeah. So it doesn't count in the stats. But we also worked pretty hard at it.
Yep.
So that flowed into the president he said, hey, you've made our seniors bulletproof. Could you apply the same thing with juniors? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know, let's give it a go. And so he started sending me these promising future international level juniors. And it turned out that it did work. So the principles of, the release, strengthen, good motor patterns, all the stuff that we do just worked. Yeah. And then it just kind of snowballed. Here I am. I got sacked a bit. So interesting, just for anyone interested in working in team sports, we went championship, runners up to Lauren Jackson, who's the GOAT. Rejoined sport after 7 years off and still
dominating.
Right? Yeah. So we were runners up to her. So it's like we lost, but it was an honourable loss. Yeah. So championship, runners up to LJ, and then we finished 4th, and we all got the sack.
Yeah, wow.
And it was just brutal.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing that ever happened to me career-wise because I fell into a deep depression. It was a really horrible time in my life. But I was like, I'm never going to let someone do that to me again. Yeah. Like I'm going to make sure that I am absolutely every single thing you can control and make perfect, I'm going to be on. So it really made me, I reckon I was a good strength and conditioning coach, high performance manager before I got sacked, but I was twice as good afterwards. Yeah. Because I just didn't want to feel that feeling ever again.
Did you stay in team sport after that, or you went private then?
Yeah, so after that, the head coach that also got the sack, he got the gig as the Australian Sapphires, the under-21 national team. So I got my first international gig, which was really cool.
It's not a bad firing.
Yeah, so it cushioned the blow
up a little bit.
Yeah, so it was cool. But it was one of those things where we were preparing for the World Champs in 2007. So that was cool. So I stayed in with that. And we got silver at the Worlds, undefeated except against America, which was cool.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And that was the first time I used the rolling that I was taking you guys through.
Yep.
So that team, I rocked up with a huge, like Santa with this huge bag of those short rollers. And the girls are all like, oh, what are these? These look cool. Because no one had seen what a roller was. Right. And this is tryouts for a national team. So if you say to these athletes, you need to eat broken glass, they're like, okay, what color? How many times a day? Yeah. Like they don't care.
I was about to ask that. Like, is there any pushback ever? Like
there is in other. If once someone's, there's very different. Like if you're a signed athlete with a contract, you can push back.
Right.
You're a pro. There can be an element of don't tell me what to do. You do have to win those guys over. Mm-hmm. If you're at tryouts trying to make a national team, there's no
just do as you're told.
I will take this contraption and put it anywhere.
So I had this whole squad of like 20 athletes, all of them bigger than me. Like the girls are, the biggest girl's like 6'6". They're big units, hating my guts and just like in the kind of agony you guys are in, but just hating it. But they did incredibly well with it. They embraced it, made it part of what they did, and also they made it better. So a lot of the things we went through today, like going on one side of the body first and the other, that was them saying, "Hey, it would be quicker if we could just do one side than the other." So they helped push it along. So I worked with them, and then started working with Basketball Victoria in that same year. But it wasn't until 2009 that I went back into the WNBL because I got recruited back to work for the arch enemy, Bulleen, who are now the Melbourne Boomers. which is when I was like, hell yeah, bring it. Like, let's go beat Dandenong.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and did that for another, 12, 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2018, I stepped down as high performance manager from there because I wanted to focus more on the business and my kids.
Yeah.
My son's 13, my daughter's 10, and they're never going to be that young again. So I was like, I want a little more time for them. Because it's those sports gigs, they're good, but it's like, there's that triage in your brain of the things you've got to do. If you're in a pro sports environment, every single task, no matter how trivial it is, goes to the top of your triage from the because I've got my core advantage life, home life, boomers life. Every boomer's task would just go straight to the top.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything else just you can't not answer the phone when the head coach calls you. You've got to answer. Like, it's just, so it was a good thing to move out of that.
So you'd started this business prior to stepping out of that.
Yeah.
Kind of running both.
Yep. So, and I probably didn't quite give this as much love as it needed. So now I'm able to focus on a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is really good because it's a good business and I like it and I like what we do.
Yeah.
And so, now my job is coaching our coaches. I serve on the advisory board of the Deakin Uni Sports Science undergraduate course. That's a bit of an interest for me. And then coach my daughter's under 12 basketball team.
Awesome.
Yes.
So, awesome.
Life's good.
Foam rolling before every game.
Bulletproof 12-year-olds.
Yeah. No, I do nothing with them. I'm like the plumber with the leaky tap. Everyone's like, imagine teaching running coaching. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I just want to be just
disconnect.
play,
Yeah,
disconnect.
that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I think one thing I find really interesting, and I remember being a young coach, looking to the older guys that were just like, just do the thing. Like, shut up about the magic thing that you think you found.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be over in 3 years. Just do that. And I can't imagine what it's like to have started in 99 and seen all of these. Like, we were laughing today. It was like foam rollers didn't exist. Then they were the best thing ever. And then it was like Jordan Challo was like, hey, stand on one leg and do an RDL. And it was like, fuck the foam roller.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. So it's like, I'm curious. Obviously, methods have developed for yourself. I assume you would say better coach.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad there was no video, no Insta in '99 because I was doing some dumb shit back then. Definitely things have evolved.
Yeah. I just overall though, like, how much has what you put into practice changed? Like, you're saying that foam rolling came in for you 10 years ago. We did it today, and we're like, this is revolutionary.
That's a great question. I think it's. I suppose there was some key things where I think it's not linear. Like, you have points where your knowledge kind of jumps up.
Yep.
So the first was just working with Bruce, seeing people train really hard. Because I think if you've trained in commercial gyms, you don't always, and everyone thinks they're training hard, and then you see actual power lifters, Olympic lifters, bodybuilders. You're like, oh, that's what hard training looks like. So I think just being exposed to that in 1999. And then being exposed to the way that athletes, the way Bruce was training them, they trained hard, but he was mindful of the fact that, the tallest guy is 6'11". Like, you've got to modify shit.
That's a lot of hard travel.
It takes a long time to get down for this. It's a long squat.
His deadlift lockouts is taller than Tam.
They were big units.
Yeah.
So I was learning that there was the wake up for me was there was a lot of untapped results from training really hard, but also there was a lot of opportunity for customizing things slightly to the athlete so that you could actually make it work for them, not just kind of ram a square peg through a round hole. Yeah. So those are some of the big ones. Bruce was great for that. I remember, so 2003, I was 30 years old and I got the Rangers gig, and I was having them all squat wide because that's what we do. Yeah. And Bruce, who's a serious powerlifting guy, is like, why are you making you guys squat wide? Basketball, sport, we're running with a narrower stance. And I was like, oh wow, if Bruce, this guy that loves that stuff, if he's saying you can change that, Durham, why aren't you changing? I'm like, oh wow. So I just had my eyes opened of, all right, well, maybe, like, for instance, most of the risk on a deadlift is in the bottom 10 centimeters. Like, in terms of the danger of having an injury is probably in the bottom 10. but that's not where most of the reward is for an athlete. So why don't you just chop out the bottom 10, get all the reward and almost none of the risk?
Yeah.
And so to me, that's a trap bar deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just, I learned early on with that was a thing you could do. And then I suppose learning about foam rolling, and I was like, this seems interesting. I'll try it. I found it amazing. I'm always about just trying it. Like, I don't really like to do anything that I haven't done myself. I just want to feel it.
Yeah.
I can think about it all I like. We can talk about it all you like, but it's like, how does that actually feel?
What's up, guys? You're listening to the STCfit Learning Podcast, brought to you by ourselves. Feel free to go check out our website, so stcfitlearning.com. On there, we have a bunch of free resources, including how to niche your business, how to actually sell during consults, and a free programming template, plus our business scorecard, which you can go and take and see how you stack up in the industry based on what we think is elite and how to become the best trainer in your gym, in your town, and in the industry. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you take a screenshot and tag us, we really, really appreciate it. It really helps get this message out to help improve our industry and keep people in their personal training careers. Enjoy the app. How nerve-wracking is that?
Yeah.
So I know for myself, like, and we've talked about like the influence you have on your clients as the coach. So I moved away from powerlifting, eased my way into some kind of concurrent, less fridge-like variation of myself.
Yep.
And obviously clients were like, hey, I want to do that too. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not that guy yet, because I haven't been through long enough necessarily to say like, this is what I'm really good at, like I felt with strength training and to a degree physique training as well. And it was almost nerve-wracking to be like, here's this person who's in great shape, built great strength, and now wants to do something else, to be like, I'm going to test this theory on you and see what happens. They're just paying me per week. You're talking about a team that need to deliver international level. Like, how intimidating is that to go like, I think it's going to work? Yeah,
very. And I literally just everything, like even if there's a drill I've designed, I'm like, all right, I'll do the drill myself. I test it and I do it myself. It's getting harder now because I don't have the I used to have proper bounce, whereas now I don't. So I can't always feel like this feels a bit crap, but it's not hurting me, so it's probably okay. But like the classic was 2004. The team, conventional wisdom in sport is if you win a championship and you want to go back to back, you've got to improve your roster in order to go back to back. You can't just stay where you are. Someone else is going to come get you. And the team, the management said to me, look, we've decided we love our roster so much we're going to keep them. What we're going to do is have you train them 12 months a year and you're going to make them 10% better. So no pressure.
Wow.
Right. So I felt a lot of pressure that second season. And I was looking at what the Chicago Bulls do. I was looking all around the world of what can I do to find that 10%. And one of them was doing...
Put Michael Jordan on your roster.
That would have been nice. But one of them was this great Chicago Bulls drill where you've got 3 minutes and you've got to run outside the key, grab a ball, run back in, dunk it, run outside, grab another ball, dunk it. So it's like a combined sort of fitness, agility, vertical drill. I was like, this will be fun. The girls will love it. Obviously, we'd lower the ring.
I was just about to say, how many people you got dunking this ring?
So I was like, we'll take the ring down to 8 foot. So take it down 2 feet.
I still can't dunk it.
So I was like, take it down 2 feet. It'll be a fun drill. It'll give, because, training can get monotonous and you do want to find safe ways to spice it up a little bit. I was like, cool. I go to the stadium manager. Can you lower the ring? I want to try out this drill. I do the drill. And at that point, I'm a lot younger because I'm like 31, so I can still move and jump and I'm pretty decent. And I'm doing it. I'm going. And as I'm getting tired, I'm really having to reach up and stretch to make the dunks because I don't have big hands, so I couldn't do a one hand. It was all twos. And really stretching. On the last dunk, I'm like, oh, I feel something in my abs.
Oh no!
And it turned out that I'd torn my rectus abdominis.
Oh.
Yeah, quite badly.
Yeah.
Have you ever torn any ab-based things?
No.
Only rib stuff, yeah.
Rib stuff's painful,
Bad enough, yeah.
But massage on a torn, it was not cool. And so that like, had I not done that, imagine if I'd torn the abs of one of our players and they couldn't play for 6 games.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So I'm pretty committed to just always doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose the big, back to the question of big changes. Things I was wrong about, I didn't adequately appreciate variety. I'm the kind of person I just like to find the best way to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And so this is the best way. Like, why would we use a B grade exercise when there's this AAA rated exercise? Why just do the AAA? And I was learning actually regular people want more variety.
Yeah.
So we classified AAA is like trap bar deadlift. Like AAA is really low risk, high return on investment, and relatively easy to teach. So we classified that as a AAA. And so for us, it's been, okay, actually sometimes you'll work your way down to an A and even a B and get that in. So probably appreciating the psychological element. And it wasn't until I had people who would get disenchanted with the training, even though they were crushing all their goals.
Yeah.
They were PBing everything. And I'm like, how could you not? That's the thing. So
that's the hardest thing to balance.
The entertainment value.
Is getting them the outcome, but keeping the buy-in and we're trying our best to optimize, to get everything like as optimal as possible without using that word too much. But then, like having their feedback come in and say, oh, I wouldn't mind doing this. And you're like, it's not as good. Yeah. But if you're going to do it, it's probably better than doing something shit.
Better that you stay a little engaged.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the tricks we use here is we do an undulating periodization model where rep schemes change. Like week 1, it changes through to week 6. And just everyone's constantly, at least, even if your program's a bit similar sometimes. Because sometimes if you're making gold, you just go, let's just keep making gold. Let's just keep going. But doing that's been really, really huge.
Yeah. We find the same in that specificity sport, like physique coaching or powerlifting. It's like, it's working.
Yeah.
It's like, but can't I? You can. But
why? You're on a streak. Just keep pushing it until we run in, and then keep the change up your sleeve to when we need to.
Yeah. I think we're in an interesting part. Like I think you mentioned, without being the guy that's like, oh, social media did this to the industry or whatever, because we started just before social media was really a thing. But it almost encourages you to chase something, not just to keep the client entertained, but to create content.
Yeah.
Like to have something to put up that someone pays attention to, because it's like, well, how many times can you do a trap bar deadlift and it be cool? Like,
it's terrible content.
It's
horrible.
Yeah. So it's
unless it's a world record.
Yeah, like the filter I use now is like, were people doing it 15 years ago when they were still jacked, they were still strong, they were still fit, they were still beasts? It's like, no. It's like, okay, pay attention. See if there's any value in there to learn from it, but it's probably not what I think a lot of particularly young PTs that we searched for forever was there's a thing.
Yeah, what's the
thing?
What's the thing people are doing that I'm not?
Yeah.
It's going to revolutionize my coaching system.
And usually the answer is everything you're doing for longer.
Yeah. Make sure your clients do it and to the maximum of their ability.
Do it well.
Yeah.
I think there's, I try not to be the grumpy old man on social because
really easy to do.
It's really easy. It's really easy, but it does bias everyone towards novelty and controversy. Like you're going to have to say controversial things to get attention. Because the feed that's like news just in, foam rolling is still quite helpful, but not everything. A little bit of stretching is useful. Running with good technique makes you faster. No one's like, wow, what? I don't believe in that. Like, it's that engagement piece, which is
we're the same. Like, eat enough protein, train to appropriate,
get some sleep.
Proximity of failure, sleep enough.
You'd
probably be all right.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard for young coaches because they don't have that. It's like they're constantly snacking on junk food. They're not getting a real, in educational sense, they're not getting a real meal. And so they feel full, but they're not getting the nutrients.
They don't get the meat and potatoes.
So
I agree. They got their attention's drawn to like nuanced stuff first, but they have no or a very poor understanding of fundamentals. And it's like, this stuff's only going to apply to probably 1% of the people you're going to work with effectively. The other 99% people, and that person still has this really good foundation.
Got a really good base.
And it's like, even though that's boring, the foundation stuff, like you always go back to it. We always go back to it. Every person you look at, either identify if they have it, and if they don't, what can you build it, and then you do all the cool shit.
And like, because a lot of the time we're doing stuff because just we want to flex how smart we are.
Oh yeah,
We're using big words,
Especially
it's a complicated
content,
thing. You know, it's like, look at how clever I am. It's
Yeah.
like in here, what we're really doing is we're teaching people to make good shapes.
Yeah.
Are you making good shape on the track? Are you making good shape, you know, in the squat rack? Are you making good shape with your trap bar deadlift? Now, are you able to have a shape that's loadable? Let's apply some good load to it, and let's do some fast stuff. Like, it's not as complicated as we'd like it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's more like ACL rehab. You know, you've got to. There's 900 boxes you've got to tick, but they're all mostly like most of those boxes are still about variations of a good shape or a good muscle.
Yeah.
Like it's just you've got to be more precise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So working predominantly with athletes across your career, there's every personal trainer on the planet has done it. Looked at an elite athlete, looked at their workout, and gone, "Oh, I wish I could train them."
I'd do so much better job.
Yeah. How much truth is there to the... I think it was before Tom Brady, but I can't remember, so I'm going to use him as the example. Like, the best way to S&C Tom Brady is just to make sure he doesn't trip over the weights in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it. Like, how have you experienced that with just genetically gifted people?
Yeah.
Who, like, just stay over there.
So that's how I think that's part of our success here is not thinking that, like, people will be like, oh, I made that athlete. I'm like, you met that athlete, you helped them. Like, I've trained a bunch of Olympians. They were going to be Olympians whether I met there's not a single person I'm like, oh yeah, I made that person an Olympian. Like they were probably going to be, but I've definitely added years to careers. And some of them maybe they would have broken before they got to Olympics. So maybe you could say I didn't so much make them, but I helped them not an Olympian.
Yeah, had a career out of it.
Yep.
You know,
it's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Getting more out of someone who's got it. You can get there, but how long you stay there for could be influenced on what you do.
100% my experience of powerlifting.
Yeah.
It's like you were going to be a national level powerlifter if you followed a program.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't have to suffer as much to get there, or it was a bit faster or whatever. And yeah, like a couple of guys I've taken from national to international. It's like, it's just that extra 10% maybe. But who's to say you didn't get that just following a program off the internet? I don't know.
Yeah. but I think if your starting point is these people, and I think all people you're training should be like this, these people are fundamentally better than I think they are. Like they're fundamentally pretty good. Let's not mess them up, and let's just find ways to make them better.
Yeah, do no harm, right?
Do no harm. Yeah, like for us, like literally in our internship, it's first do no harm, then prevent injuries, and then then off the foundation of that, enhance performance.
Yeah,
but the performance piece is always third. Whereas so many people, like at the moment, it's really fashionable to be kind of like, oh, there's no way you can harm people. You know, people are indestructible. It's like, it's not. You can mess people up.
Yeah.
You know.
So there is this new guard message too of like injury prevention's not a thing.
Oh, that's such a crock of shit.
Here we go. We've got him.
Got him. Poked that bear.
Got him.
People that say that, it's like, and I did a rant on this a while ago. It's if your methods, if your mental model is incorrect, if you're not paying attention to technique, if you're not doing the little things that aren't sexy, and if you're not controlling load, because you think everyone can do everything, then yeah, of course you're going to think injury prevention doesn't work because your model doesn't achieve it.
Yeah.
But if you do those things, like we had a season where not a single player missed a single game to a single injury, like not one. It's like that was injury prevention. The analogy I make is it's like if you're a goalie in soccer, your job is goal prevention.
Yep.
As soon as someone kicks a goal, they don't go, goal prevention doesn't work. Let's stop doing that.
No more defense.
No more defense.
11 strikers on the field.
It just doesn't make sense, but it sounds enticing.
Yeah.
And at a package, there's this message too, I think, of like what an enticing message to hear of expertise doesn't matter. Just give it a crack and get going. Yeah. If you're young, you're like, cool. So I could just go. I don't need to wait to learn.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like you belong sooner.
Yeah. There's not so much of a paying your dues. It's just like, I like this. You like this. Cool. Let's do this.
Yeah. If we do it right, we don't have to worry about this whole thing over here.
But and injury prevention, it's a shitty place to hang your hat though, because you can do everything perfect, and you have that saying, operation successful, patient died.
Yeah.
Like you did everything right,
Yeah.
but actually you got a bad result.
Yeah.
And I've had that.
Someone lands on your knee, someone still lands on your knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had people do that. We train, a big part of the training here is around anti-ACL injury, like the ACL prevention. But some people are still going to do it.
Yeah.
But the problem is the stat that never gets measured is how many injuries did you prevent? How many saves? If we go back to the soccer goal, how many saves did you have? And you can't see it.
Which you can't measure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's
You're never
about
gonna know.
as a business, we hang our hat less on that now than ever because from a marketing point of view, it doesn't work that well. So the marketing is more performance.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can actually, we've improved your vertical by 10 centimeters in 8 weeks.
Sexy as fuck too.
It's sexy. It's
I wanna
proof.
Be better.
It's hard data. Whereas a lot of the stuff's just about how you can prevent a thing that no one knows was going to happen. It's like, it's kind of amorphous.
And even inside the performance element too, though, like you can't improve your vertical jump if you're injured.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
like it's the foundation for performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So injury prevention definitely a thing. People took it too far and acted like do this thing and you'll never get injured. It's like no. But there's certainly like with a Nordic, like if you get your Nordic Newtons up above, I think it's like 350 perhaps, your chances of getting injured just plummet. And that's like, well, we've probably just prevented, like if everyone in our building's doing Nordics, we've probably just prevented a whole bunch of people from doing the hammy.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that work really well. They're just not everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should have came out here for your knee, mate.
No, I feel like there was a lot of those 900 boxes that I did. Could have been an elite level soccer player.
Yeah. I think what stands out to me from today is I feel like my confidence from the session, and like we don't experience being coached very often these days, was like I have total confidence in this guy telling me this because it sounds like he's been doing this for a really long time and it's continuously worked. And he's not like, oh, I'm going to try this fancy drill that I saw on the internet last week. It's like I've been doing this repeatedly for an extended period of time and I have evidence that it works. And I think as a young personal trainer, because you don't have that, it can be challenging. But learning from the people ahead of you, but then that becomes challenging because the best way to sell a new course, a new whatever, is to invent or at least put a new spin on something that's been around forever.
And I mean, like, you know, you guys are the exception to this, but a lot of great practitioners are so busy practicing, they're not, you know, like there's so many of the greats in our field no one's heard of.
Yeah.
You know, because they're just busy, they're fully booked. Like a mate of mine is the best exercise physiologist in Australia and he's incredibly busy, charges like $3.90 an hour. No one's heard of him.
Yeah. Of course.
You know, he's just busy.
Yeah.
Like, why would I spend time making content?
Yeah.
I can
do
just
the thing.
It's a secret name in the phone that you
call
this guy.
Yeah. And like back when we had our podcast more regular, I tried to get him on. He's like, nope.
It's not worth it.
Don't want it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It doesn't want the attention probably and doesn't want to waste the time.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
I'd say for young coaches though, like you want to make it you want to set yourself up to win. And to me, the win is like lower the level of difficulty for yourself. Like teach simpler stuff really well. And your people will go really well and they'll flourish. Like it's like put all your energy into how good they're doing it, not how many different directions you're sending them.
Yeah, and how cool it sounds.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they just want results, and we are there to facilitate it.
Yeah.
Just like take the friction away for that happening. Learning and communicating and doing are going to be way easier. And
I reckon taking a little bit of time to understand first principles. I think like the only way out, like the current problem we've got in our industry is that it's so social media driven. And it's so much of a poll. Like, what does everyone think? Everyone thinks rolling's a waste of time. Right, well, then I think that. Whereas if you can be more first principles of, okay, what am I trying to achieve? Does this achieve that?
And how many times have I done it that it worked?
Yeah, like first principles, some N of 1 studies. Like all of our loading is based around like how the frequency with which you do running loading. It's just like, well, the first principle is science has shown us peak collagen supercompensation is 72 hours. Muscles will recover quicker. Tendons will be the last. What's going to stop you from successfully running? It's not going to be, for most people, a muscular issue.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tendon-based problem. Well, let's respect the tendon enough to allow time to elapse that it can be damaged and then have that upswing.
Yeah.
So that's just first principle. I don't need a study to show me that that's how you should do it. It's like, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like it makes sense that you would bench, if you're older, really hard on Monday, and you might not go hard again until Thursday.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of like logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches, especially when they're starting out, like they're learning all of these little concepts, but they're not really trying to develop a method or a system. Like you obviously, like I was looking at the whiteboard out the front there, and it's like phase 1 to 6. This, you know, I think it was like intensification 1, 2, 3, accumulation, whatever. It's like, that's a system. So you've obviously had to sit back and go, I've learned all these concepts. So how am I going to apply this into a system that takes someone from here to here? And we're the same. It's like, we've got a system to, you know, get someone strong. We've got a system to build someone's physique. We're developing a system to get adaptations concurrently, so some people can run and jump and do whatever. It's like, you want to create your own system. So if you've got foam rolling and you know it works and you've got evidence to show that falls into your system and how you would use that with the people that you work with.
So before we keep going, I just want to give you guys a little message about our Standout PT program. So Standout PT has been designed for personal trainers who want to sustain a long-term career in fitness, but right now they're sick of chasing clients, they're not making enough time for money, and they're super frustrated with the results that they're getting in their business, and they can't see themselves being here in 3 to 5 years' time. If you want to know more about the Standout PT program, head to STCfitLearning.com. Head to programs, and all the details are there, and you can book in your free exploration call where we can have a look and see whether or not that would actually be a suitable program for where your business is at right now. And back to the episode.
Yeah, and some of these things, there's actually only one way to do it. Like if you're looking at, so the warm-up, that was what we call warm-up 2.0, which is the idea that a standard warm-up just elevates your body temperature. What about if you could do something that made you cumulatively better every time you did it?
Being at a 10 out of 10 pain threshold definitely increases core temp.
Don't need to do warm-up 1.0, guys.
But the only order there's like, you've got to roll first, because you can't stretch the muscle before you've rolled it. So it's like, okay, rolling has to go first. You kind of want to capitalize on what you've just done with the rolling to do a pinch of stretching. You then have to do some form of activation to wake up after the stretching. And then you want to do something dynamic at the very last bit, which is, you know, running technical work. It's like, there's only one order to do that. There's no other logic. And so some things, it's like, there's no logical basis for starting your workout with a tiny little muscle. It's like, start with a big muscle, like maybe activate, but start with your big targets first. Like, that's just logic. So a lot of it, I think the answers reveal themselves.
Yeah.
As long as you're thinking it through.
Yeah.
It's so repeatable like that, though.
Yeah.
Like, and it makes coaching easier, and it makes it more consistent.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to know now every person goes from 1 to 5, like for that warm up. And it's like, yeah, sure, the little things will peak their head on a case-to-case basis. And you'll just have, maybe add this in. But you'll have to do that, still have to do that first.
Yeah, like 90% of what they do is going to be pretty similar across the board.
Yeah.
So we have a PDF and video instruction on the warm-up. It's like, this is what you do, plus, your rec fem's really tight. You need to add in a rec fem stretch. Cool, done.
Yeah.
So that makes it pretty easy.
So one of the things that obviously has been highlighted for us recently is, like, clients come to us, think you had a volleyball, a couple of people want to do runs and a few other things that we just went, well, that's new. So for, let's say, a more gen pop personal trainer or even like specialist but not in the S&C kind of realm, where do you start with that? Someone comes to you and says, hey, because my solution in the past has always just been like, download Couch 5Ks, off you go.
Which is actually a really good option.
Yeah. So how do you go about managing that request from a client? Where do we start? What do we need to think about? Who can we learn from?
I think everyone, it's just like, you just start with building capacity. So it's, do I have the positional capability? Like, can I actually get into the positions I need to get? So is there a flexibility handbrake that I need to address? Because if I don't address that, if you can't get in the right position. So I like Nick Winkelman talks about positions, patterns, and power. I think that's a nice one. If you don't have the positional capability to get into that spot, well, everything else is a waste of time.
Yeah.
So that capacity can be foam rolling, can be a little bit of stretching, whatever it might be that you need to get that ability. And then it's for a lot, it's just that sort of preparation of those tissues in a low load environment. So doing calf raises, doing some squats, like making sure that whatever you're going to be hitting in the sport or whatever it is, that you've hit those target tissues with non-impact force before you've started the impact loading. So like if you had someone who came along, if someone walked in the door today and said, hey, I really want to start running. Like, right, well, let's loosen your tissues up. Let's get you doing some calf strengthening. Let's get you doing some strength training. And let's get you on the bike every second day for 20 minutes just to get some capacity up so that when you do have to start running, you've actually got a pinch of fitness to carry you through rather than that vicious cycle of you're so unfit you can't run.
Yeah, guilty.
And it feels like a trudge, like it feels hard.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can kind of hold someone back, like they've got that enthusiasm, hold them back for a month, build the system, and then take that, slightly improved system into their first running exposure.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a successful first. Like you guys today, like crushed the running, but that's a really good way to start because you've got a base of strength. And you've got some fitness. Like it's a good place to get
It's
going.
interesting. The most progress I've made since changing from purely just strength training is it's like a 38-minute 2-on-1 off on the air bike.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Man,
they're
fitness
so hard.
wise, just to go out and run now, I noticed every time I run, I'm better just because of the conditioning work. And you wake up, like you were saying, the recovery for the cardiovascular system is so fast.
So fast.
It's like, we've had a couple other guys on to talk about like training the heart, training the lungs, training the muscle, all that kind of stuff. And it's like so noticeable in such a short period of time. Like my wife's like, why are you awake first all the time now? Why are you out of bed first all the time now?
That aerobic system's so underrated.
Yeah, it's wild. And just like 3 weeks, once a week. And I was like, holy shit, it's
shooting fish in a barrel too. It's easy. You just jump on a bike, turn on Netflix.
Yeah.
Just go and do that a couple of times a week. And something that you can't stuff up.
Yeah.
Like you can't really, maybe someone's injured themselves on a bike, but on a stationary bike, that's pretty hard to stuff it up.
Yeah.
You've got to be looking for the problem.
Yeah. Banging your head all the time.
And you just feel good all the time too. Like I think it's interesting with my coaching team, what we've noticed over the years is that in general, better coaching, you could probably do an association of VO2 max and how good you are as a coach. Because it's how good energy do you have? Are you energetic? Like do you just have that base ability to get around and do you have that personal sort of energy levels?
Yeah.
And I think part of that's just fitness.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
I need to test my VO2 max.
Time to get on the cardio, mate.
Stairmaster? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I think also from a stress point of view, like most of our customers, like if you're, because I PT'd, so to be clear, I PT'd, so from 99 till 2007, I still PT'd. I called myself a PT.
Yeah.
I made myself a rule. There's people who are like, they're working as a waiter and you say, what do you do? They're like, I'm a writer. I'm like, we've been published. I haven't been published.
Yeah.
No, you're a waiter.
Yeah.
And in personal training, I was like, no, I'm not allowed to call myself an S&C coach until I'm 51% S&C. So I trained a lot of Gen Pop for a long time. And if they're successful enough to afford us, they generally have some stress issues in their lives. And the cardio piece helps that so much. Like you just roll past problems and things that would ship me to tears when I haven't had a run or a lift that morning. Just don't. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll deal with that.
Yeah, I've actually been having that conversation again with my wife as well. It's just like I'm noticing now if I don't have it, it's a big, because like powerlifting, it's like you just feel shit all the time. Like when you train, you're more tired, or like you're tired the day after because you lifted heavy the day. Like it's all a mess. But now it's like a little bit more fine tuned, where it's like I didn't get my walk in this morning or cardio in or whatever, or that session in. It's like noticeably cognitive functions not like can't handle stress as well, more anxious, like all of that.
It's a profound difference.
Yeah.
Dr. Rhonda Patrick did a great guest on Joe Rogan's show ages ago, and she talked about how a 30-minute run deactivates your amygdala, the stress part of your brain, physiologically just can't work as well when you've been for a run. So even if you want to get stressed, like your brain's just not as capable of getting stressed.
Yeah.
Wow. And the enhanced blood flow into the prefrontal cortex, from the thinky part of your brain, also like so those two things, it's just massive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super interesting.
I'm gonna run every morning.
So you've got, and actually before we move on to that, I think that's a really important. I want to move now into the idea that we bought into for forever. Is a cardio is going to kill your gains. And it's like
the interference effects.
Yeah. So I look back at that now, and it's like, if there's one, when people say like, what did you get wrong?
Yeah, that's...
Now I look back and I'm like, that was right in front of your face, you idiot, the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's like, but Charles said, so it's
insulin model for fat loss and cardio kills your gains.
Cardio
things, I'm just like, no.
Yeah. It's always, that drives me as crazy. I'm so excited to see that being thrown away and see so many big units getting after cardio now, like, and being happier. That drove me mental, because it's like, have you seen rugby players?
Yeah.
You know, they seem to be okay.
Pretty big.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
They haven't seen a necklines for 10 years.
And they're pretty
fit.
Pretty fit, you know, like it's just insane. And it was that case of what it really was there were a few studies that showed some interference effect, but like such a minute, like it's that thing statistically significant but practically insignificant. Like in the real world, it's like it doesn't really make a big difference.
And for most people, like, how much does that even matter? Like that.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, I reckon a hell of a lot of serious lifters are actually going to lift better because they're not getting sick as often, they're not stressed. There's all these other
recovery's better.
Things. Like it's like if you go smash yourself with real high end cardio, that can kill your gains. I got no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Like really trashing your system.
Yep.
But like the zone 2 stuff.
I'm laughing. We did a CrossFit workout.
Yeah.
It only came out on YouTube last week, I think. I was literally had digestive issues for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, let's not go there.
Let's not do that. But yeah, the interference effect is massively overrated.
Yeah.
I think people you should be mindful of what's your main goal.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, like, so my main goal is to be able to run and play sport deep into my 60s. So my lifting in my life fits in around that goal.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be able to hang out with my kids, because we had kids late, and so I kind of want to still have a young body to, you know, like my son goes for runs with me now.
Yeah.
And he's 13. That's some of the best time we'll spend. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So my strength training supports my running.
Yeah, and that's it. That doesn't require a 2 times bodyweight squat.
No.
Yeah.
Like if I'm squatting, I weigh 65. If I'm squatting 70, 75, well, that's good. Doesn't need, I'll do some heavier split squat stuff. Doesn't need to be particularly impressive. Just needs to keep everything working. But for a hell of a lot of people, it's the reverse, where their primary thing is, I want to be jacked and I want to be big and I want to look impressive. It's like, well, then your gym is the thing, and you fit your cardio in around that, but you still tick the box.
It's just doses.
Yeah. Just doses and priority. Yeah.
So we came into the industry 2010, 2011. So a year or so apart, just before CrossFit really took off. So I feel like when I look back at how things changed culturally and stuff within fitness, I feel like CrossFit had a huge impact on a lot of stuff. Like, I don't think powerlifting would be now what it was without it. And now we're seeing like Olympic lifting and a few other bits and pieces that are kind of spinning off now the words concurrent training. It's like, it's just CrossFit that's programmed. Yeah. So how did you see that era, positive or negative? I feel like, I don't know if it's my own web, you could probably speak to it better than me, but whether CrossFit's starting to make a bit of a resurgence again, whether it's a net positive or a net negative to S&C in general. Because it was almost like, we know for us, it was like Genpot PTs with 30 kilo overweight clients.
Unskilled, unfit, complicated movements.
Let's jump and do
fatigue.
snatches. Like,
you
know what I mean? So, but the net outcome was moved so many women out of the cardio room into the weight
which is great.
Which is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And introduced this idea that like, the fact that we were still like, no, cardio kills your gains, and Rich Froning was walking around,
Yeah.
and then Matt Fraser after him, and like even the girls are more jacked than us.
The girls
Like,
are so jacked.
okay, like
Stupid.
maybe that's not it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious
Yeah.
your perception of the impact of that.
So first, it's a bit of a side note, but it's interesting with Rich Froning. So Rich Froning, arguably, if not the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James of CrossFit. There's a great doco, A Day in the Life of Rich Froning, and it shows his day of training. And I watched it, and I nearly had an aneurysm because he didn't prepare for CrossFit by doing CrossFit. Like he would have a really scientific period. He'd do his cardio in the morning. He'd do his lifting at 2:00 in the arvo when testosterone levels were highest. Like it was all separated, and he would develop all those traits in separate workouts at separate ends of the day, and then he would exhibit the fitness he'd created in competition.
Fraser went on and did the same thing.
Yeah, but he did, and all the top ones. So it always drove me crazy that none of the best CrossFitters in the world actually do CrossFit.
Yeah. They don't do WODs.
They don't do WODs.
Yeah.
So that was always just interesting.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. So my gripe at the time, I didn't do the course, but got the manual.
Okay. Yeah.
Read the manual, and I was like, have you guys read this?
Yeah.
Like this is not.
Yeah.
This
not
actually
being
says you
practiced.
have a day for skill work, you have a day for conditioning work, you have a day for strength work, and then maybe you do once a week where you have a Metcon.
Where you put it
just
all together.
Go for it.
Yeah.
And have that enjoyment factor. But it's like, doing a WOD 5 days a week, it's like, yes, you're broken.
Just stupid.
Yeah.
Let's do it in every workout.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's a really mixed bag because on the one hand, it's been great for barbell sports. It's been great for women. We're just seeing women being really comfortable in the gym and comfortable getting a little more muscular. And I think that's awesome that they can feel empowered. And, like my daughter flexes her guns and she's 10 and I love that.
Yeah,
I think that's been amazing. I think it's difficult. So it's great. I think it's great for the society. And I think it's difficult in sports in the sense that, I'll give you an example. So if you look at my entire data set of athletes over my entire career, working just in the WNBL, if you look at the data set, you go, well, there was actually across the entire 13 years, I don't know, like 12 games lost or like a really low number of games. If you include the one CrossFitter I trained, it's like significantly higher because those guys, it doesn't suit to prepare you for sport.
Yeah.
But people want to do it because they see it and they're like, that looks really cool. I want to do it. So it's created more pressure for us to make stuff more sexy. And it's created this thing where people think, athletes don't generally, they shouldn't be training to failure that much. But it's made people think if I don't leave the gym drenched in sweat, feel like I'm about to vomit, maybe that wasn't a good workout. So from that point of view, it's harder to sell this workout where you train, you do
Intelligence.
you're doing 5 RMs for a triple is actually really good training for an athlete often. Not all the time, you're going to cycle through, but so I think it's kind of swings and roundabouts. On balance, though, I'm still glad it has existed, just because it debunked the interference effect. Like those guys. Like it's just so compelling.
I always sort of say like Charles Poliquin probably is the reason we have a job. And then I think CrossFit really spurred on the type of coaches we are to do really well. And you could start to specialize in, like, there probably would have been bodybuilding coaches forever. But it's like you've got a market now of non-competitive bodybuilders.
Lifting enthusiasts.
That are predominantly
hobby builders.
Particularly in the coaching space, particularly predominantly female.
Which is
who
so
are
cool.
going to pay a coach and do all that kind of thing. It's like, okay, so they saw like the Scandinavians, like CrossFitters, and went, holy shit, I want to look like that and do some of that stuff. And then that kind of feeds into these other pathways, which I think, like you said, it's a net positive, but it's also getting them and then saying like, that's not how you train. And there's two things that CrossFit misses for me is one, don't call yourself the fittest on earth.
No.
You're the best CrossFitter on earth. Second is just like, it's a sport.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always communicated to people. It's like they come to me and they're like, hey, I want to do some CrossFit. It's like, okay, well, CrossFit's like you coming to me and saying, I want to play netball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And when you say, I want to play netball, in your head you think, okay, there's going to be a risk of ankle, knee, hip issues, maybe getting elbowed in the face.
Maybe I'll
contact.
dislocate my shoulder.
Like there's some stuff that might happen.
Yeah.
It's like, but when you come to the gym, you think you're in a really safe environment and the injury risk is really low. You're taking that away by choosing doing a sport that we use the gym implements to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
And you have
perfect way to
training
explain it.
and competition.
Correct.
You don't go in and play netball every day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Train and then you do
you
the
prepare.
thing.
Yeah. You do the drills.
Yeah.
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 Do you know, you just reminded me about things that I changed that was stupid earlier on. Poliquin changed one of the biggest things, which is early on. I was all about. I still can't believe it's something that's that loud, but I was all about straight sets.
Mm-hmm.
So you would finish your squats, and then you would go over and you'd do your bench press or whatever. And the athletes would say to me, "Couldn't we just do that?" And then one of the other, I'm like, "No, no."
Yeah. How dare you think that?
You incredibly fit person. No.
Yeah,
Because you do the same thing when you play. And
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah,
you never change things when you're on the field.
And then Poliquin was like, you can do squats and bench
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And that changes everything. Like you can suddenly put so much more density into your workouts.
Yeah.
Because your rest time from squat is while you're benching. And that's how there's no standing around here. It's like if you're trapped by deadlift, it's going to 9 times out of 10 be paired with dumbbell bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one's pulling, one's pushing opposite ends of the body.
It's very economical
so easy.
space-wise as well.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
good.
My entire programming model would fall apart if I couldn't superset things.
The funny thing
in the
is,
gym for 3 hours.
yeah, it's terrible.
Like me.
Yeah.
When we moved house, I had to train. So I've got this lovely gym here, but I hate training here. I almost never train here.
Makes sense.
Feels like unpaid overtime.
Yeah.
There's always these tasks.
You just want to be
hovering.
away in case something goes wrong as
Isn't
well.
that hilarious that I have a home gym, but I work at home, so I go to the gym?
Me too.
To get away from that.
Yeah.
So I have a home gym that I was like my pride and joy of the old house. This tiny little setup, but it was just phenomenal. And then we sold the house and moved, so I had to go train in commercial gyms for a little while. Because I like to train first thing in the morning before the kids are awake, get it out the way, make them breakfast, get on with my day. And I went and trained at one of those huge warehouse gyms. And I was prepared for the noise. Like I brought my earplugs. I was like, this is going to be loud. But it was the trek between the squat rack and the seated row. I'm like, it's a 7-minute walk. Because they're just not set up. Like you've got the leg section, you've got the back section.
Yeah, it's just not built for.
It's not
that
built for
model.
what we want to do.
Yeah.
So,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Another quick break. I just wanted to jump in and remind you guys about the STCfit Learning Mentorship. Now, our mentorship's been running since about 2016, where we've developed trainers through their first year of business in personal training and allowed them to leapfrog the first 5 years of mistakes that we made. If you're currently studying, looking to finish in the next month or so, or you're looking for someone to help you out with mentoring and all that kind of stuff, jump on, have a look at the details for the mentorship at stcfitlearning.com. Head to programs and mentorship and all the details are there. And you can come and be an STC Fit coach for an entire year. Includes all of our education and direct mentoring from our head coaches. Back to the episode. So we have to say it. We've quite often on this podcast, I won't say shat on the exercise science degree.
Sure.
Just with the
I
intent.
have one, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're allowed.
not attacking you. I've got one as well.
So we're allowed because Jace has one.
Yeah.
And then we always end up in rooms where everybody has one except me, it seems. But
I don't have one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
Interesting.
I've come at things from a very different.
Was it a thing then? Was it?
It was
as
a bit of a
important?
thing. It was less of a necessity.
Yeah.
So I came at things from a very weird angle. So I thought I wanted to be like a lawyer going out of school, then I wanted to be a political consultant. Like I thought that was going to be my space. So I did my undergraduate degree, double major in politics, sociology, and a minor in English literature. So not the obvious connection. But it was a course I did a subject on political philosophy, for instance, which taught as a little side component of it. It taught logic like logical construction, which no one gets taught anywhere outside of philosophy degrees.
Yeah, I studied engineering. It's the same.
And like and it's and so my wife's an engineer. She's an aero. It's interesting like how the some grounding in logic has a massive payoff. Because I was really bitter after my degree. Like I was like, what did the law graduate say to the arts graduate? I'll have a Big Mac and fries, thanks.
Yeah,
like that was how I felt. Like it was just a waste of time. I was just going to go work in a job that had no relationship with it. But it ended up being the best thing ever because it meant that I had a strong logical grounding, but I went into the industry being really insecure about what I knew and hungry. So when someone would say studies have shown, I'd be like, where are the studies?
Yeah.
I'd like to read them, please. And I would read them. I wouldn't read the abstract. I'd read the study. So I reckon a sports science degree can be a bit of a disability because you think you know everything.
You get told you know everything too.
You're the best of the best. If you're at Deakin, you're at the best sports science university in the world.
Yep, that's
right. You just get told you know everything. And then you have pretty bad Dunning-Kruger syndrome.
And 9 times out of 10, you're going to work with someone who's, unfit, overweight, doesn't know how to move properly. And you think you're, the bee's knees.
Yeah, and that's through the education side of our business. Is like you get the people come through that are like have really good personal skills, but have a lot of work to do on the technical side.
Yep.
And then you have people come through that have been to uni, so it's like, well, you just do what I say because I read the textbook. And it's like, we need to learn the personal skills.
Actually easier, I reckon. I don't know what your experience is, but I find it's easier just to pick the right people and train them up.
Teach the skills.
Skills.
We look for 100%. People's skills all the time.
Yeah.
You stay, have a really easy conversation. Yeah. Even if it's just with us or everyone, we're like, that's the one.
That's the one.
If they're teachable.
They're good to hang out with.
Yeah.
I reckon also uni has this unfortunate thing from a coaching point of view where like if you're teaching someone to squat at uni, you potentially, the more you say, the more marks you can accumulate. So you get these people come out of literally the goalposts are say cue as many things as you can because you'll be more likely to pick up a mark. Whereas here it's like, I want you to be able to cue with the least possible syllables. That's the best coaching is like keep it as simple as is humanly possible. So it's like a complete 180 from what you're taught.
Our shifters now, particularly being online with limited access to cueing, it's like just change the movement.
Pick a movement that
train them in position somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if I give you 6 cues in your online check-in, by the time you get to the gym, you don't remember them. It's like just change the exercise somehow.
Just pick a more doable one.
But
I reckon that the interesting thing too is the uni forces if you're not a clear thinker, it forces you to really rely on evidence only. And it's like, where's the study that shows that the foam rolling is helpful? I'm like, I don't have a study. It just feels really good. And like my studies, the two of you crossing your legs afterwards are going, holy hell.
Even
like, that's science.
Standing up and feeling like my hips were under me.
So
that's
good enough for me. Like I'm not going to wait 10 years for someone around the world to decide they're going to do a study. Like this looks promising, but I can't move until there's been a study.
Guys, we're not there yet. It'll get printed soon.
And I think the thing I try to explain to our interns is, if you think of a great big wall, like a wall that goes up kilometers and kilometers and kilometers, and you think of what science has investigated, it's like a very, those really cool, like in old movies, like a great big spotlight. Like science has investigated that. Just because it's not shining on the bit over there that's in darkness doesn't mean that doesn't exist. It just hasn't been proven yet. Like, so the proof of absence is different to the absence of proof. So there's an absence of proof about foam rolling. But there's no proof that it doesn't work. It's just that it's not sexy, so it's not going to get studied.
Who's going to just sit there and try and take it to someone and say, "Can you fund this for me?" They're going to go, "What the hell for?" It's not groundbreaking enough.
I think Shallow has a really good analogy for it, where it's like if you walk outside and don't see any squirrels, it doesn't mean there's no squirrels.
Oh, that's so much better than mine.
So it's like that idea that just because it's not like right in front of your face right now doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's really valuable.
So all the bros out there, guys are doing good things.
Thank you. Keep doing it.
That's it.
So I guess like to push that question a little bit further. So our thing has typically been, when we have this conversation, it's like you come out, you're a glorified personal trainer. There's not that many jobs. You're promised the world. you want to work with athletes and it's like, oh, here's the guy that did it. Ironically, he doesn't have the cert, which is hilarious. But obviously you've done internships and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm also interested to hear your thoughts on private, because it sounds like that's maybe the thing nowadays. What are you saying to the interns that come in now, career progression, that do actually want to engage with athletes? And
well, the number one thing is go be a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Like actually go expose yourself, train lots of people from different walks of life, different goals. Just build up some general expertise. It's like general physical preparation for your training. Like just get out there and just coach people, learn stuff, make mistakes, but never make them twice. Yeah. Like just get out there and do that. I think that all the most successful S&C coaches started as PTs, pretty much.
Yeah,
like it's
funny. A couple of episodes I went on a big rant about stop saying you need better clients.
Yeah, just be
a better coach.
Yeah. Like, and the worst, like I had a client once in the early days in my first year, and she'd never exercised, was morbidly obese and super smart woman, but very disconnected from her body. Like I'd say, how are you today? And she'd go, the body feels good. Like, what a weird disconnect. Like she'd talk about herself as the body. Yeah. Like she was so disconnected, and she couldn't do anything. She never learned to ride a bike as a kid because her parents were too scared she'd hurt herself. Wow. And she was the daughter of Holocaust survivors. Yeah. So really protective parents. And she was I guess in her 60s when I was coaching her, and she'd never caught a ball. Yeah. Right? And so I'm like, let's go play catch.
I just want to hug this person.
Yeah.
No? Right? And she trained with me for years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't try to get her to ride a bike. I was like, that's a bridge too far. That's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
But, we would do balance stuff, and I would get a tennis ball and we'd play catch and we'd do strength stuff. And I was like, I want you. And because she was really unco. She just couldn't do anything easily. And so I was like, well, and I said to myself, the worse she is, the better training this is for me.
Yeah.
Because the worst training for me as a young trainer is training these people that move beautifully. Like, I'm a genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, that's American S&C coaches a lot of the time. Like they, if you're working in the college system in America. Yeah. And you're like, look at what I did with all these guys. I'm like, they were already massive and lightning fast before you met them. Yeah. Like your job's easy.
That's why you see those questionable training videos with those athletes. So you can do whatever the fuck you want. You're always going to be good.
Like some of those guys walk past the gym, look in, and they put on half a kilo.
Yeah.
They're real high responders.
Yeah.
And that's how come those guys are, every now and then, like pretty much every year, someone in the college S&C system kills an athlete with rhabdo type stuff. Wow. They just smash them, and then someone dies. Like maybe it hasn't happened for the last couple of years, but for a while it seemed to be happening. It was pretty good regularity. Because they were just smashing them for character building. It's like better ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So they go and do PT. How do I end up coaching an international level basketball team?
I reckon some of it's just sheer luck as well. It should be clear. Yeah. But I've watched some of our former interns and former coaches. The people that are really good people, like it's that thing of increase your surface area for luck. If you're a good person, if you're prepared, if you're ready, I think that's a massive piece of it. So ways to increase your surface area for luck, do well and be a nice person during your degree, work as a PT, try and coach some sport, like as a sports, like try and volunteer. If you've got a sport you played, go volunteer as a soccer coach with an under-12s team, like just kind of get a feel for the sport side of things as well as the strength side.
Yeah.
Do plenty of internships. So like I care so much more about, like everyone cares about, well, you did your degree here, that's nice, but what are the courses you've done? What have you done off your own bat that shows that you really want to get after extra learning? I think that's a huge one.
Yeah. And I know like what your biggest obstacle was obviously that initial part, and I've worked with other people that have gone down that same road, was just like the free work.
Yeah.
The crazy pay.
Yeah. And when you're young, you can do it. Like I did the first, like I worked for really cheap at the start. And it was just like, I just want to be here. I'm going to do it pretty cheap. And that's fine when you're young. And I think that's okay to not be being paid heaps, because like I wasn't good enough to be paid heaps either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I guess with your concept too is like you balancing that with making $120, $150 an hour as a coach.
I was
PT.
making cracking money as a PT.
Yeah.
Like that was to me that was so easy. Like you got 30 to 40 people training with you. I would train people in half-hour time slots. I'd say to them, I want you in the gym. If you're at 3:30, I want you in the gym at 3:15 warming up. I'll teach you the warm up once.
Yeah.
You'll do it.
Sounds similar.
Yeah.
Do you know how much pushback we get on 30-minute sessions?
Yeah.
From who?
From everyone.
What customers?
Every single
from
every
the
single
coaches.
personal trainer that comes in, and we're like, you need to do 30s.
Yeah, it's the best.
Like, no.
Yeah.
You can double your money.
Yeah. And it creates way more autonomy with the people you work with as well.
Yeah.
It's
Which gets better results.
Yeah, so I would. This is a great example of there's when you really think about it properly. There's actually only one way to do it well.
Yeah.
Because what I would do is I would go 15 minutes of warm up, get yourself completely prepared, and then they'd arrive. I'm like, come find me when you're ready. And I'd finish with my last client. They'd come find me. When they finish, I'm like, right, off you go smash your cardio. So we're gonna do half an hour of dense, concentrated lifting.
Yeah.
I thought we invented it.
Damn it. We're gonna have to cut this bit out.
But here's the funny thing, right? I'm in a gym with 10 other personal trainers, and I've got at that point, and I love them to death, and that we had a great time. So I don't want to sound like I'm saying anything but love for them. But I'm the highest. Like if people would come and say, "How much does he cost?" and blah blah, and they'd be like, "You're the most expensive, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yep." And I just leave the silence hanging, and they'd be like, "So you must be the best."
Yeah. Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing was, so none of the guys copied.
Yeah.
And it's like they're all doing hours, and you'd see them standing there like watching someone's on a treadmill, and the trainer's just like,
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like,
It's not a way to spend your hours in the gym. It's a long career doing that.
It's a long career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that fast paced thing of,
Same.
you know, it's 6:30, 7:30. You know, you just bang,
Yeah,
bang,
it's
bang,
so
bang,
dense.
bang.
So much
pack 'em
good
in.
use of your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get frustrated now because it's like, because we're coaching out of the garage.
Yep.
We're not in any gym. So
Yep.
we still do a little bit of face-to-face just to kind of keep the calluses on the hands.
The
kind
tools
of thing.
sharp.
Yeah. But it's like, well, I'm not going to open the garage and then come out 15 minutes later. So it's like, we've got to do that hour together. And it's like, okay. Like, it's fine. Like, and I guess the beauty of that is having the flexibility to only train people I'm happy to spend an hour with.
Yeah.
But yeah, that bang, bang, bang energy was so much fun.
And like it was just, and like, I've never made so much money so easily. Like,
I agree. It was so hard for me to step away from that for so long to work on other stuff that needed to happen, because I was like, this is just so easy.
Yeah. It's easy. It's fun.
Yeah. You meet heaps of people.
You become friends. A lot of them you become really good friends with. They give you great advice. Like one of the things I found was I was training lots of CEO type people, and they would give me really good advice.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was an idiot with a lot of that stuff. I still am, but I was more of an idiot. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So athlete development, from what I'm seeing, and again, I'm unplugged from this scene, but from what I'm seeing, athlete development, and it's interesting, this is turning into a longer story, but I coach people who want to get stronger and then point out, hey, you're strong enough to win states.
Yep.
Do you want to do a meet? And they're like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. Jace is kind of the same. It's like, come do body composition. Nowadays, you get specific people like, I want to compete.
Yep.
But it sort of starts generally as like a body composition goal, lifestyle, hobby builder kind of deal.
Potential.
Who are willing, able to pay. And then it's like, hey, do you want to do this thing? Would you say that it's similar in the S&C space, where it's like athlete development may actually be a broader market, more money kind of zone compared to trying to be what everyone wants to be, which is like Hawthorn's S&C coach?
Yeah. The problem with being a Hawthorn's S&C coach is that it's very stressful and you get the sack as soon as they lose. Like everyone just gets the sack all the time. Like the single easiest move you can make is you just sack the S&C, sack the HPM. Like that just happens again and again and again. It's like team's not going well, sack the HPM. Things aren't going better the next year, sack the head coach.
Yeah.
Like that's somewhere in the manual.
Yeah. It's the no deadlifts per week out before the powerlifting meet.
Yeah.
It's like everyone just does the same thing.
So
Comes
yeah.
in the CEO like contract.
Yeah,
This is how it works.
Just do that. Whereas private is, you have a more autonomy. Like we can work in athletic development and you can not get the sack and you can have a more broad experience.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be said for.
Could you do it without all the experience that you have? Because this center's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Could you, if someone's looking at this, they go watch the YouTube video, they're looking at the facility, maybe switch onto your content, and you should because it's really good. And they go...
It's very sporadic, bear with me.
They go, I want to do that.
Yep.
Is the pathway still via sports and back? Or can we go straight through?
You can go either way. I think what really matters is can you develop the ability to really coach?
Yeah.
So not just prescribe. Like a lot of people become quite good prescribers, and a lot of people become quite good. My disparaging term for it is strength and conditioning companions. Like you're mates with them, you're hanging out with them, you're adjacent to them in the gym whilst implementing their programs, but you're not really a coach if you're not creating that kind of ignition where they'll like run through brick walls like that, where they really want it. Like they see where, it's that like Christian Woodford does it incredibly well. Like he sees right into your soul and he sees what you could be and he tells you you're shit and you should get over there and you should get good. And it's like various versions of that of I see who you are, where you're at. I see what your true potential is. I can help you to get there. Like that's our job as coaches. And it doesn't get enough emphasis, that creating ignition. Because when you do it successfully, which I've got no doubt you guys do, it's all really easy because they're very motivated. You're not having to crack the whip.
Yeah.
Because you've got that ignition in them. They want to get to a certain point and they do it. But I don't think it's adequately emphasized is that ignition. I reckon that's so learn to create ignition. Learn to, one of the hardest things is if you're a people person and you like being nice to people, you are often uncomfortable creating tension.
Yeah.
And there's got to be tension. Like, if I want someone to go do a thing, I've got to get tension. Tension's what gets them off the couch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not happy with where I am. I want to go do a thing. Because if there wasn't tension, I'd just hang around on the couch all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that working on that, and there's no better way than PT to do that.
Yeah.
So ideal scenario would be someone's like PTing a bit. They're doing extra study. They're volunteering as some form of a sports coach, and maybe they're trying to get some internships as well, and just get a feel for how different systems run.
Yep.
So my business partner Jacob Tober, VBT coach, we were talking about him earlier. On Insta, he's brilliant, but he worked as a personal trainer. Actually, for him, he didn't like it that much, but it was still, even though he only did it for about a year, it was still really valuable. Because he's more comfortable just being home alone, working on developing technology.
Yeah.
But he worked at the Oakley Chargers as an intern there. So did that, plus he interned at Core Advantage, and then ended up becoming my business partner.
Yeah.
But it was that combo, I think.
Yeah. So let's go there. What is this app?
Oh, okay.
You've shown us, but let's tell the people because it sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's so we've got an app called Metric VBT. It's available free on both the app stores, so you can just download it and play with it and use it. There will be a paid version eventually where it basically gets all of your data and it tells you what you can do in terms of, like, it gives you 30-day averages and so forth. We'll talk about it later. It's just velocity-based training is the idea of measuring how fast you're doing a movement. So traditionally, we think of the gym, we think of, well, how much weight did you do, and how many reps did you do it for? And velocity is kind of the missing dimension. Because like in running, we have GPS. Like we know how fast we're running, and it's like GPS, but for lifting. And so what it gives you is you can use that velocity for all other things being equal. If you do a really fast lift in terms of powerlifting or Olympic lifting, it was probably a better lift. Like the bar was really flying. Like that was a good lift. So you can use it for auto regulation for serious lifters. But what we love So we fell in love with VBT in the gym. I bought a $2,500 unit that you use a gym wear that you use to measure it. Because when I first heard about it like 10 years ago, it's like, this is the truth. I can't believe we're all focused. Like, we want to be explosive and powerful, but we're all focused on force generation rather than power development.
Yeah.
And it's like, it puts the goalpost in the right spot. So we got a unit, but the friction of using it just gave us the shits.
Yeah.
You got to attach the Velcro. The Bluetooth connection doesn't work. It's just, and every time you change a weight, you've often got to take the thing off. It's just a hassle.
Yeah.
And so Jacob's brother, Davey, who's a computer vision genius, he was training here, and Jacob was playing with this, and he's like, "Why are you using that string? Like, what's that?" And Jacob's like, "Well, it's the only thing that you can use." He's like, I can do that with computer vision. And I was like, okay.
Do that.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a gamble. And he pulled off this miracle of he's a proper inventor. Like, he's invented this algorithm that tracks how fast the bar's moving.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah.
I was exposed to the Tendo unit.
Yep.
Maybe 2016.
Okay. Yep.
Like when I first started getting interested in strength training. And it was the same. It was like, my clients aren't going to have one. And it's going to be annoying for me to carry around. It's probably going to get broken. It's like, this isn't. And then there was like a collar came out and it didn't quite.
The collar didn't quite work.
Yeah. And then they just disappeared. Like they sold out and they disappeared. And it was like, okay.
Kabuki had something for
and look, we tried lots of different ways too.
Yeah.
Like our starting point was, we have to find a way to make velocity tracking easy because it's such an important thing that's not getting done.
Yeah. I feel like everyone was like, there's super value to this, but it's just impractical.
It's so impractical.
Yeah.
So we started out with a sonar-based thing, and we're trialing that, and then eventually David was like, actually the best way is going to be using the camera. And so literally you just lean up against your water bottle, press play, press record, and it just records it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, we've got Core Advantage as the main business, but that's very much a side project where almost half the team is off working on that. And if that goes off, that'll be pretty big for us. But I think it has huge potential for for remote coaching.
Yeah.
Because you're videoing it, you're seeing them do it, and you can see how fast it was. You can see their range of motion.
Yeah.
And we think, it'd be interesting one day. There's no reason you couldn't make a tempo thing in it as well, so you could actually see, you think you're doing the right tempo,
the 4 second negative,
but actually you're not. So it's super exciting.
For the meathead coaches out there, it sounds like it's an S&C sort of thing, but Jason and I both, our eyes lit up at range of motion and speed of rep drop off.
Yeah,
like those two things. If you're trying to standardize effort, which is number one probably for all of your clients, no matter what area you're in. That alone changes the game. I think if you can standardize your effort and standardize your rest period, that's huge. Yeah. So I think it's got a lot of application for powerlifters, and we've just added ollie lifting to it as well. So there's a couple of ollie lifts it now captures. Yeah. And just lifting enthusiasts. I think of lifting enthusiasts a bit like golfers. Like, they're pretty obsessed with, golfers are obsessed with their swing. Like, it's a bit like that with lifters. Yeah. So it's a great way to actually, that rep that felt fast, go back on the replay and, actually that was fast. That was my fastest for the last month. All I heard was this Apple maker's better at golf too.
It's got a lot of work to do there. A few more miracles.
All right, so last question for me to finish up. Just because, honestly, we don't speak to we think we're dinosaurs of the industry, and that's not a dig at you. We don't get to hang out with people that have been around longer than us often anymore. Yeah. Where do you think we're going? What stands out to you? What are you looking towards in the future over the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay.
In the overall fitness industry, S&C.
I think what we're going to see is it's always a pendulum. Things swing. I've seen things swing wildly in both directions. Right now, it is there's no such thing as mechanical injuries. It's all in your head. The spine is infinitely robust. And I think we're going to swing back. We're going to break a whole lot of people. And people are going to learn, actually, it's going to swing back a little bit. So I think we're going to have a more considered...
Relearn that injury prevention is actually a thing.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bit of that. I think there's also maybe less of I think with the demonizing of sort of optimal sometimes, I think people take that too far, and it's like, oh, you can't say it's like a swear word. It's like, it's still like, if you're obsessed with it, it's stupid. If you think it's not a thing, it's also stupid. I think we're going to have really good kind of blue ocean. So blue ocean, that area where there's no competition. I think there's going to be massive blue ocean for trainers who are not like obsessed exercise physiology level, careful you don't break them types, but nor are they, just shut up and lift huge things.
Just do the thing.
Just, it's like somewhere a little in the middle. I think massive opportunities for really intelligent training that's more about driving referrals in your business and less about driving attention.
Yeah.
Because attention's just going to become saturated. It's just going to get to a point unless you're doing something really dangerous and obscene, you're just not going to be able to. It's like an arms race.
Yeah.
And it's going to cap out where you just can't get more attention.
Yep.
So I think it'll swing back to a bit more like the oldie days where it's referrals are actually how your business grows.
Yeah.
Because at the moment you can still game the system a bit and get some business in, I suspect. But I think it'll be harder and harder. So I think the cool thing is if you are committed to your craft and treat it like a craft, I think the next 5 years is going to be even more opportunity than ever because so many people are going down the wrong path.
Yeah.
And they're going down just kind of copy what those around me think. So I think that creates it's a wide open lane, I reckon.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is like presenting the boring stuff and the valuable stuff in an entertaining format is going to be the only way to win.
Yeah.
If you want to play that game.
Yeah.
And like you said, the alternative to that is if you're not that way inclined, it's referrals, and it's
just be really good.
Yeah.
Our social on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being phenomenal, we're a solid 2.5 here, and I'm a solid 1.5.
Yeah,
but it's like that's not our main game.
The gym's fucking awesome, guys.
Our thing is, athlete comes in and they improve their vertical by 10 centimeters.
Yeah,
they don't have to tell anyone. Everyone's saying, "What have you been doing?"
Yeah.
And like that, and that just, that generates 2 more clients. They come in, they improve theirs. What have you done? And it's a very lame version of viral. Like it's not, viral, like a bushfire, but it's just like a steady growing thing.
Yeah. Anything from you, mate?
No, pretty good.
Happy with your running performance?
Just want to see
you
more
should
video.
Be.
Just want to go home and watch the video.
I just want to go. I want to go out and buy a pair of running shoes now. Hit the pavement. Injure myself.
I'm so glad you mentioned pavement.
Yeah, running the road.
Okay, so running surface.
Yes.
We should close out on that.
Yeah.
Really try hard to vary up your surfaces.
Okay.
So if you can run, never run on sand. Sand running is the worst thing you can do because there's no elastic rebound, so it's way harder on your body. But if you can run on well irrigated footy ovals, like in Yarraville, there's this great lacrosse ground, and it's perfect. That's where I ran this morning because it's just this.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is.
It's really good.
Yeah. So Robert Street.
Yeah. It's just phenomenal. But try and mix it up. So you run a bit on gravel. So I run through Crookshank Park, which is in Yarraville, and it's got some gravel, it's got some concrete. So you're getting exposure to various surfaces. The worst thing you can do is just pound concrete 3 times a week. Because all of the stress goes through exactly the same section of your Achilles. It's this constant. You kind of with dumbbells, you get a user-defined path of motion. Like they'll move around a little bit. It's kind of like you want a bit more of that by being on different surfaces, where it's just varying up the stresses. So
hopefully that sports precinct is finished soon.
Yeah, where's that?
In Point Cork, they've just put together a huge one. Two soccer fields overlapping with cricket fields, tennis courts,
different surfaces and stuff.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah,
when I decide I'm going to use it,
I'll be there when you're ready. Awesome, thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on.
You guys that are watching or made it this far, actually go watch the YouTube video. We walked away going like, I could just give this to a client who asked, "How do I start running?" It's so valuable. So go check that out. Make sure you follow Durham.
Nice.
Got it. And the gym as well. So core
advantage.
Awesome.
Easy.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right,
thanks guys.